When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
In Walmart Sue Louisville, time was ticking away. Only a few nights left till the big holiday. But last-minute gifters had no need to worry. Walmart Express Delivery got their gifts in a hurry. From Nintendo to Nespresso and Lego flowers, they could check off their lists in as fast as an hour. All of Who Newville, East, West, South, and North could order gifts up until 5 p.m. on December 24th. So this holiday, just do as the Who's do. With gift delivery this fast, they all gasped. From Walmart, who knew? Subject to availability, terms and fees apply.
Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. One of her advocacy helping Gen Z girls trade pressure for peace through the power of oneness, and the author of the debut book, The Oneness Guide for Today, no other than Miss Faith Spencer. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, welcome. Miss Faith on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. I grew up in Washington State, and then I moved to Montana about 6 years ago with my husband and my daughter, who's now 12. I've always been a writer and editor, but and I've always done that in my jobs. But now I'm a professional book editor, copy editor, and got a book published with a traditional publisher, which is really, really exciting. I worked on the book for like 5 years or something, or more than that, and it's finally out there in the world. So I'm really excited, and it's a goal of mine to convey messages of empowerment and of a different understanding to the young teen girls of today.
Miss Faith Spencer, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. Tell us the title, The
Absolutely.
Oneness. Yes, the title, The Oneness Guide for Today, is profound. How you define oneness for modern young women, and why is it necessary to concept for navigating today's world?
Yes. So the full title is The Oneness Guide for Today, a book of insight for young women. And it's about just understanding the interconnectedness of our world, the fact that we really are all interconnected with each other and with a greater source of wisdom and comfort and solace, and just how knowing that can help you navigate life better and be happier. And it's so important right now because girls are really not happy. There's teen girls have higher levels of anxiety and depression than any previous generation. And there was the World Health Organization put out a study this year that said that almost 1 in 4 teens, 24%, say that they're lonely. And when it comes to adults, it's like 1 in 6. And adolescents in general are 1 in 5. But teen girls just have it the worst. And I think what really exacerbates this problem, or maybe even causes it, is social media. The way that social media just is all about the ego. It's all about me, and my ego. And it forces you to look, and it has you look at the world in a way where you're separate from everything else. And then you're conveying an image that isn't even really the real you. But so you're not really connecting, and you're not really understanding the deeper you that's underneath that. Because the ego is never going to be satisfied. The ego is always going to say, you need to be, you need to get more likes, you need to get more follows, you need to look better, you need to do, you're comparing yourself to the other people on social media, and it's just rough. And I think what girls really need is to just step away from that as much as they can and start tuning in to their inner selves, to what's inside. And part of what really is inside is a sense of being connected to themselves, but to something greater. So that's really my hope.
Miss Faith, what inspired you to create a guide specifically for young women at this particular moment in time? What unique pressures are they facing that make this message so urgent?
Yeah. Well, I think I just stated some of those pressures. I mean, there's more than that, though. Social media is a huge one that, it's proven that the more time you spend on it, the more depressed you are, especially for girls of that age. And also, it's a really hyper competitive world. There's the college entrance, just getting into college is a lot more difficult. It's really more competitive now. So there's a lot of pressure on your grades, on doing all the right activities. So I think girls have tons of pressure in their lives, and they're just cracking, they're breaking under that pressure. And so it's really timely that there's more books out there for teens, and maybe that are a little different, that have more spiritual, kind of metaphysical ways of looking at life, strategies for just seeing life in a totally different way, that you don't have to be following the trail that is being laid out for you by the world. And the reason that I'm doing this in particular is that I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I can kind of tell you like my story and what led to the book. Does that sound good?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Miss
Um,
Faith.
okay. Yes. So I myself, I grew up really trying to do all the right things and thinking that that would make me happy, thinking that if I looked the right way, if I just got good grades, did everything right. I was a cheerleader. I got into a sorority when I went to college because I thought that's just what you do. You're a sorority girl. And I wanted to go to a college that had really good like status, that seemed like a well-respected college. So I was basing all my decisions on what had status, or what, like, I guess looked good to the world. And then I was a leader in leadership positions in the sorority. But ultimately, at the end of college, I felt empty, and I didn't feel fulfilled by all these things I was doing. I was trying to check the boxes of what society kind of says you should do, and just following the path that the educational system tells you. Just do all the things, get the good grades, and then life is going to hand you everything on a platter. But it really isn't that way. And so I had a big life crisis at the end of college, because I didn't know what I was going to do with my life when I got out of college. I didn't know really like who I was. um, I didn't know about my emotions. I didn't know about that I had intuition that could guide me. I really just started at the end of college this big process of self-discovery. And so I learned how to follow my intuition and my inner guidance, and started finding what really was true for me in this world, like the jobs that were true or the relationships. And so when I did follow my intuition, I ended up meeting my soulmate, and I got married to someone who I believe is my soulmate. And then we had a child actually late in life. I was almost 45 when I had her, actually. And then I encountered some health challenges that were kind of scary at the time. I was having some pretty major health things go on, and my daughter was like 4. And I just felt compelled to share with her like so many things that I'd learned. And actually, in case maybe I wasn't going to always be around for her because I am an older mom, I just wanted her to have a guide to life that would help her. And some of the things that really helped me when I was having those health problems is to visualize. Like, I was reading a book by Florence Scovel Shinn. Her name's Florence Scovel Shinn, and the book is The Writings of Florence Scovel Shinn. She was a metaphysical writer in the early 1900s, actually, up to the mid 1900s. And I discovered her books at the time that I was having health problems. And she really talks about visualizing and how your belief, the thoughts that you think and the pictures that you have in your head, how that influences your life and your health. And also forgiveness. Like, if you have bitterness or anger inside, that can cause your health to suffer. And so I started doing a lot of forgiveness techniques, and I really felt like I let go of a lot of resentments that I was having at that time. And I felt like it really did make me feel lighter. And I was visualizing myself healthy and strong. And I did start to go on that trajectory. And in addition to following my intuition, what I felt my intuition was telling me to do about the health problems, I just felt like this book of Florence Scovel Shinn's and the things that I was following from that book were really, really valuable, and are things that you just don't often hear about. You don't hear about that, like, forgiveness is so important, and that you can manifest and follow your intuition to create the life that you want to be living. And so I wanted to put all of that into a book for my daughter. So it's mainly a legacy for my daughter so that she has a guide for life. And I dedicated the book to her, but of course I also wanted it to go out to, all teen girls everywhere. So
A legacy indeed.
that is the story.
And congratulations, Miss Faith, for giving your legacy to the world. How does the idea of oneness help counteract feeling of isolation, comparison, and disconnection that are so prevalent, especially on social media?
Yeah. Well, I believe that a lot of the exercises I have in my book, and really, like, meditating, doing exercises where you get a sense of yourself as an expanded, kind of like expanded energy being, feeling the boundaries of your body not being as rigid as you thought they were. Just different kinds of meditations can be really helpful in just giving you a sense of peace inside. And just finding that you can give that to yourself. You can tap in to the peace that's always there, that's actually always inside of you. We just cover it over with activities, with negative thoughts, with all these things. So I think just finding that time to take time in the silence, or with meditation music or whatever it is, and tapping into a greater knowing about who you are as an expanded being, as not just this separate person, this separate self, but as an expanded, in a way like being of light or a being of energy. I think just doing those kind of practices on a regular basis, which I include in my book, is super helpful. And also to view the world in those ways, which my book helps them to do, is, I think, just comforting. So hopefully that
So,
answers your question.
yes, indeed, Miss Faith, on content and practical application. The book is described as a book of insight. What does that mean? It more philosophical, practical, or blend of both?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's a definite blend of both. It starts out explaining that kind of more philosophical. It's trying to shift their mindset, shift a teen's mindset that, for one thing, knowing that the ego is like kind of controlling all of our lives and starting to identify that we are being told we need to do this and be this way, and it's just never enough. And all of that is the ego. So I explain that. And then I explain that the truth underneath that is that you are an interconnected being who's one with the universe. And so after I just introduce that idea, I provide tons and tons of quotes from people who have, said this. And also I provide proof from a couple different realms. I provide the proof from science, actually, that where in quantum physics, there's been a lot of discoveries, quite a few discoveries that point to the idea that we are actually interconnected with the universe. And there's something even called quantum entanglement that I explain, that two particles, once they're in contact, remain in contact even after they're separated by, miles and miles. That physicists found this, and Albert Einstein called it a spooky action at a distance. That, why should two separated particles still continue to affect each other? And it just is this thing that is constantly replicated in studies, and they ended up just naming it quantum entanglement. So there's an idea that we're all entangled and that there's a sea of energy. Anyway, I talk about all about that. There's a sea of energy that many people talk about. There's a physicist called it the quantum potential, that we're all kind of swimming in this sea of energy that connects everything. So I talk about the science, and then I talk about also the spiritual traditions that almost every, and especially in the Eastern spiritual traditions, talk about the unity, the inherent unity and connection to a larger force. Like in Taoism, there's the Tao. This is an energy flow that everyone's connected to, or even in Hinduism, it's called Brahman, an overarching, basically godlike energy that connects everything. And so I talk about all the spiritual traditions, and it's almost just uncanny how they all say something very similar about our unity with everything in the universe, as well as an overarching spirit or energy. And then after the proof of that, I go more into the specifics. Now that you know that you're interconnected and that you are connected to something greater, what can you do with that? And so then it's kind of putting it into practice in the end of the book, or the last third of the book, where it's about learning how to manifest. And I provide some manifestation techniques, kind of a process to go through, and how important gratitude is, because it puts out those vibes to the universe, which attracts those things to you that you want. I also I give intuitive techniques, and I explain why intuition works the way it is, but several different exercises that people can do. Anyway, many different like body-based ones, kind of sensing in your body what your intuition is saying. Also automatic writing, where you just write without stopping. What is that telling you? And then I have a chapter on forgiveness, and I give like a couple different forgiveness techniques. And throughout the book, actually, there's meditations, practical meditations. At the end of every chapter, there's at least one exercise or reflection or meditation that you can use to kind of experience oneness yourself and all the benefits that that can bring. So it's definitely a mix of the practical and the philosophical, but I provide the truth, the underpinnings, or sorry, the proof, the underpinnings that show that oneness really is real. So I think that's kind of a unique thing about the book.
Miss Faith, as a debut author and helping Gen Z girls to trade pressure for peace, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Oh, what are my goals? Oh my goodness. Well, um, I would like to get as many people to get exposure to the book as possible. We're putting together a study guide so that people, and hopefully we'll get that soon onto my website, faithspencer.com, so that anyone who wants to put together a group based on the book, which I think would be really, really helpful for girls to like gather together and use the book to really get hands-on experience with how these different exercises and meditations can shift your well-being and how you can take control of your well-being from within. I think it would be so great for people to download the study guide as soon as I have it available. I also have these meditation cards, little, oh, I should have brought some. I don't have them right now, but they're pretty little cards that you can do whatever with them. But if you sign up for my email newsletter at faithspencer.com, we're sending those meditation cards out to people, or little affirmation cards, I should say. And so that's something we're working on. I also want to do a children's book that gets into some of these themes, and a book for adults about oneness that has short passages and quotes about oneness. There's a lot of great quotes out there about this topic, and kind of compiling all those in a book for adults is another thing I want to do.
Oneness is
So that's just some of
good.
it.
Yes, definitely, Miss Faith. And good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
Oh gosh, my advice. Well, I would say don't give up, I guess. Continue to write and continue to edit. I worked on my book over so many years, and I was trying to get an agent, and I didn't ever get an agent, but I kept revising my book and revising my pitches. And I approached a small publisher that doesn't require you to have an agent. And so, but I just kept going. It took me a lot of years, and I just kept going because I really believed in this book. And so just believe in yourself, believe in your message, and that your story matters and what you want to share with the world matters. And I mean, even if it comes down to self-publishing, I would say just find a way to do it, and don't give up.
Don't give up, people, and stop procrastinating. If you have the passion to write, and share to the world, just like Miss Faith Spencer. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Books that influence my journey? Sure. Oh gosh, so many. Where did I put it? Well, the writings of Florence Scovel Shinn, and it's spelled Florence. Oh, Scovel, Scovel, Shinn, Shinn. I mean, I think she's so wise and just has this wonderful way of explaining the metaphysical principles upon which you can base your life, and then just one more, maybe. The Field is this really cool book by Lynn McTaggart, where she talks about the quantum physics discoveries and what it all means and how it indicates that there is this greater field that we're all connected to that just kind of can turn the way you look at life on its head. So
Yes. And thank you for that
that's a few.
recommend.
That's a few.
Yes, thank you for that recommended books, Miss Faith. And tell us,
You're welcome.
on the writing process and personal journey of your book, what was the most challenging part of writing this book? What is consolidating the ideas, making them relatable, or something more personal?
Hmm. Um, I guess two parts were the most difficult. The first was how to start the book. I had a really hard time just those first couple pages, like, how do you write those? And so I revised them so many times, probably like 20 times. I wrote an introduction, and then finally my husband had to help me. He kind of like helped me write it because it was really really difficult for me. And then the other thing I would say is that when I got when I got in with the publisher, to get edited by someone was difficult. And so that was a whole process of, when someone else wants to change things and kind of reshuffling. Like, she reorganized it, my editor did, kind of reorganize the book. And so that was another kind of challenging process, but it turned out just fine though.
Yes. And what did
So
you
yeah,
learn?
working with an anyway.
Definitely. And what did you learn about yourself while writing this guide for others?
Hmm. What did I learn about myself? I learned that I was actually a pretty good book writer, that I have kind of a natural voice, and that it's pretty easy for me to do. So that was just as far as. I don't know if I learned anything else about myself that I didn't already know, but I felt like I learned that I really am pretty good at it. And so I can go on to do some more, I think.
Some more, for sure. So, Miss Faith, what has been the most rewarding feedback you have received from young woman who has read your book?
Yeah. I haven't received too many from young women. I've received more from like moms and, older women who really want to share it with young women. But there is one younger woman, a teenager, that I heard from, and she just said she really loves the affirmations in it. So that was really, really good to hear. She said she loves the book and she loves the affirmations. So that was really sweet.
Yes, sweet and looking forward for more empowering books like this, Miss Faith. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in third season, and movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen to your podcast. So, Miss Faith, if you could have every reader embrace one fundamental truth from the Oneness Guide for today, what would it be?
Mm. It would be that you already have everything that you need inside of yourself right now. Yep, that would be it.
That would be it. And Miss Faith Spencer, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support the Oneness Guide for today to support you more?
Yes, you can find the Oneness Guide for today anywhere books are sold online. It would be so great if you could get a copy. And you can also find me at faithspencer.com or on Instagram at faithspencerauthor. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Faith Spencer because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Faith, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for yours.
More to come, people. See you soon.